Jason, KC&H here with another early morning video. You can still see my breath again. This morning, I have been thinking about what we're going to do with these builds. And I have an idea. It came to me, I don't know when, just randomly. I was watching one of Ben Crow's guitar videos, Crimson Guitars, on the build that he's doing right now. He's making a multi-laminate neck. And I've always liked the tilt back headstocks because I think they just look kind of cooler, and you don't have to use string trees. I think they help a little bit with tuning stability, and just looks like more of a high-end instrument. Just a little bit of tilt back in the headstock. So, and you can't do that with a regular neck blank. You just don't have the space to be able to tilt that headstock down. So I've been kicking back and forth, taking these two blanks that I have. So these two Powell Fair blanks that we're using, and putting them together, and then sandwiching some other wood that I have in with them. So this is some walnut from a tree that fell down actually at a co-worker's house, and I cut it down, and I actually used most of it for a top on one of the last guitars I built. So I'm not sure. I originally was going to use these two pieces sandwiched in here, and then this, which is a cool piece of roasted flame maple, which came off of an oversized neck blank. If we sandwiched all those together, we would have something that's thick enough, well, wide enough this dimension for a fretboard, obviously long enough for a neck, and then thick enough here at this dimension to be able to give you that tilt back. So I'm not sure. I don't know if I want to use both these neck blanks and do that, or if I want to save that for next build. So that's just something I'm thinking about. Tell me what you guys think. I know you notice, probably, I already said this was an offcut. These pieces were offcuts. And I used this actually to make a piece of jewelry, I think, or to give to my wife to make to a piece of jewelry. So, with all these offcuts, always save your extra wood. You never know when it may come in handy. But we're gonna keep that. I'm gonna think on that. You guys tell me what you guys think. I think it'd be cool looking. I'm just not sure if I want to use those blanks up for one neck when it could be two. Next thing to share with you. I was looking at these spalted elm tops that I spoke of in the last video that I wanted to use for these guitars. Well, here's one of them. It is so cool looking. But if you notice, all these, what I spent last time when I got done filming, I still worked for a little bit. I got all these, if you can see them, they're wormholes from this wood. And they're kind of get packed in with sawdust, so I spent some time, 30 minutes, digging all them out. I'm still debating. The next step in getting these maybe ready to be used as tops is I'm gonna flood the top with epoxy and just kind of see how all those wormholes look when they're filled in with clear epoxy. So I'm not sure. And also that's to give, this wood is really brittle, so I want to give it some more stability. So that's what I'm going to be doing with that. I looked at the other couple sets I have of this wood, and I think it's going to be too brittle to use. So what we're going to end up with is either one with a top and one without, or me find some other wood and use for a top, or I also thought these blanks are pretty thick, probably about, I don't know, maybe a quarter of an inch, maybe a little bit more, too thick, so that's gonna have to come down anyway. I thought about taking them on the bandsaw and actually slicing a top off of it so that I could weight relieve it, drill it all out, and then just glue that top right back on. I think that'd be kind of interesting. I've never done that before. So I got some options to think about for sure. So what we're gonna do today, it's too cold to throw down epoxy. I do have this pretty sweet little heater though that I stole from our bedroom just to keep me somewhat warm in here. It was just too cold after last video. I couldn't do it again. So what we're gonna do is definitely the telecaster I'm going to drill out, and I'll show you kind of how I do that, how I plan it out, because this top is not even long enough to do an offset. So I really have that one. That's the only option I have anyway. So we're gonna get to work. Get this out of the way. So what I typically do when I'm thinking about what I'm planning for this is I kind of roughly, I need to leave some room obviously to glue a top onto. I need to leave a spot for where my neck's gonna go, so I don't want to touch those areas. I usually like to leave about, I don't know, how much is that? I'm thinking maybe 3/4 of an inch all the way around. That way I make sure that I have enough room, especially if anything comes up. And then typically what I do too is, usually I can just draw a line right here, and I'm going to take it all the way back and not touch the middle area. Doesn't have to be exact. I know, and somewhere in here I'm gonna need an area to mount my pickups to. I'm gonna need an area to mount my bridge to. So I want to make sure that I give myself plenty of room, especially since I'm still kicking around what type of bridge and pickup setup to use. I want to make sure I give myself plenty of room to be able to account for that. Actually, gonna make it a little bit Alright, so this area I'm not going to touch. I'm going to make sure I don't lose my center line here while I'm making all these random lines. Sometimes I'll make all kinds of different lines, and I'll use Sharpie, different color Sharpie, just to kind of, so I know which lines are which. And I'm going to do the same thing on this one. Now I know I don't have to go all the, I don't typically take it all the way to the back, because I do want to have a semi-hollow feel to it. How much does that help with the sound on a more or less solid body electric guitar? I'm not really sure. I think it's kind of cool. I think the biggest benefit is weight relief. I know some people, there's some rock guys out there, some that I'm friends with, that want a heavy guitar because they feel like it has more sustain. I don't believe that's true. I just think a heavier guitar is harder on your back. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give myself a line the whole way around. I'm going to use, that's kind of hard since I'm left-handed. I'm going to use my finger as a depth stop so I can get pretty much an equal line all the way around. It's really hard to write with my right hand. Don't need a ridiculous amount of edge there to be able to glue your top to, but you do need something. If you have a nice flat dry top, you don't really have to worry about it moving, and you're going to have some good solid space here in the center. Sharpen my pencil a little bit. That should make it a little easier. I think this weight relief is especially important on these because these body blocks are heavy. I've never used this wood before. Guy I bought it off of, he says he just gets wood for free from local landscapers. They just bring him trees that they've cut down and he mills them up, and he makes makes epoxy tables. So he's literally has an entire backyard full of cut up trees. And that's where I got this and that spalted elm from. neither of which were dry, really. They're actually pretty fresh. And I thought this looked cool. It had pretty similar grain patterns to like an ash. And I enjoy working with ash, so I thought, why not? It seemed pretty solid. So I was doing some thinking. Oh, well, my ideas don't really work for that. I actually measured these bodies, and they're actually perfect thickness. So that idea doesn't work. Even if I wanted it to work, bandsaw is not big enough. So we're going to take a little break from that offset body. We're going to leave that over there, and I'm going to do some thinking. Because I do not want it to be as heavy as it is. There's going to be carving and routing out, but it's still going to be heavy. Make sure as you're doing your building, you think, plan. I try to think to the next step. Like how is what I'm doing right now going to affect the next thing? Like, for example, one thing I always forget. I do these where, I route out the insides kind of semi-hollow. And then I put a top on. Well, I'm so excited to get this top on, continue moving on with the build, that I always forget to take pictures of what it looks like under the top. Because what I'll do is make some channels for the pickups and the wiring. Like say there's a pickup right here. I'm gonna make sure I route while I have the top off. A channel right here. There's another pickup here. I'm gonna make a channel right here for my wiring to go through. I always forget to take a picture of it. It's so easy. That way I know, like, oh yeah, here's where that slot is for this ground wire, or this pickup cable, wire. So things like that, just think about it. Or you just get ahead of yourself and just create a problem down the road. So pretty much what I'm doing is I'm sitting here staring at this piece of wood and just thinking, okay, what are the things that you need to do before you just start removing tons of wood from this. One thing I really wish I had was a scale, so I could see exactly how much wood I'm actually removing. See how much of a weight difference it makes. Anyway, what we're gonna do is, I could use a drill press I had before. It's just kind of in a weird spot in this new shop. I don't really have a good spot for it yet. I'm just gonna use a regular drill. Forstner bits. These bits, if you're looking for a good thing to buy, it's, you're still building up your tools, the amount of tools you have, and you're like, man, what do I need now? I have some basic stuff. Forstner bits are an excellent thing to have. They're great for doing this. They're great for, I don't use neck plates, so if I do a bolt-on neck, I use the threaded inserts and I sink that hole down in, like you'll see on some like Ibanez Charvels, so that those screws are flush with the back of the neck and you can get a better carve back there. Yes, it's just a really good tool. Okay, so I have 2 minutes and 39 seconds to wrap this up, because I'm kind of new to this, obviously, so I'm recording these all on my phone. And I'm gonna have to go through and clear out some storage space and actually see what kind of storage I have to be able to keep making these videos. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stare at this piece of wood and think for a while more, and then I'm gonna start using these Forstner bits clearing it out. And then we'll be kind of there, and then I'm going to think about what I'm going to do with the tops. Try to get that spalted one ready, and just kind of see where we're at. Try to do a little bit more planning. If you would subscribe, share the video, like it, let me know what I need to change. I'm just figuring some of these things out, how to edit and all that kind of stuff. So I appreciate you watching, and I'm gonna keep trying to make these early morning videos for you, and keep moving through this build. All right, thanks a lot, and you can check out my Facebook page as well, where you can see some of my work at KC&H Custom Guitars on Facebook. All right, thanks a lot for watching. See ya.